So this is a video I might have to remake down the road with altered emails and tracking information and things like that for you to understand exactly what the problem is. But I'm going to try my best to describe it right now through a live stream update. And I'm frustrated enough that I almost have to just get it off my chest. So this might be more therapy than useful video, but who knows, it might be something to keep an eye out on if you sell Mercari, and maybe it will also be a chance for you to confirm if some of my suspicions about what's going on are actually happening. But before we begin, hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your time. Let me fix this a little bit. I think it's tilted just a little off balance. There we go. So anyway, I'm pretty open about I sell on eBay and Mercari. I have been very successful selling on these platforms. More so eBay than Mercari, but Mercari has actually become a fairly substantial amount of money. It's not like it's, kiss my butt money or anything like that. It's usually $2,000 to $3,000 a month, usually several hundred of that I get to keep as a profit. But hey, that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's pretty good. And one of my surprise selling items recently, and I bought a bunch of them, was this thing. A Target exclusive edition of The Wizard of Oz in 3D. Comes with like a nice little book and everything, Blu-ray 3D. I, by the way, love how like the regular version of the movie's rated G, but the 3D version, that's PG. Makes me wonder why the 3D version of Titanic wasn't rated R, because Kate Winslet really pops in that movie, if you know what I mean. Sorry, my wife's going to kill me for that one. But anyway, that's kind of besides the point. So, yeah, this has been a very good seller for me. Not only has it sold several copies, but this is one of the few DVDs that I have that I actually make a fair amount of profit on. I've been starting to kind of allude to what it's like to sell physical media in a streaming world. And people who sell physical media kind of have to know that they're not going to make a lot of money off the physical media, the DVDs, the Blu-rays. They're usually going to profit $2 to $3 on them, if that. And they're going to make real money by selling lots of them. It's more of a volume thing than a markup thing if you have physical media. However, this is a rare exception. This I bought, multiple copies of for $8 a piece. And I've been selling them on an average of $30. That is extremely rare that you can do that. And a fair amount of them have been sold on Mercari. Now, this is unique on Mercari for a different reason. For a while, Mercari would only allow you to use their shipping service. You would put in how much it would weigh, which shipping service you wanted to ship it with, and Mercari would spit out a label for you to use, and the buyer would pay for it. Now, this is a unique thing, because when I posted it, I realized there was a new option. I could pay for the shipping myself. If I offered free shipping, I could use whatever shipping service I wanted to use, and I've started to use that more and more for certain items, because if they're more expensive items, I would probably want to control the shipping myself. I would want to add like a signature confirmation, things like that. And so I actually think that's a good thing for Mercari to add. But one of the things that they warn you about when you use this is that you do not have Mercari protection. And I didn't really know what that meant, but I may have just found out what that meant. And if it is if this is in fact what they mean by you don't have Mercari protection, then it's total bullshit, and they need to rethink how they're doing it right now. So here's the thing. This was bought on a Saturday night. Like, you might have multiple of these, and so So it didn't go out till Monday. I mean, that's just logical. I mean, you buy it at Saturday at 7 p.m., the post office is going to be closed. It's just going to be closed. You're going to, it's not going to go right away. Then on Monday, I brought it to the post office. However, in this day in particular, I went against one of my cardinal rules. I will usually go into the post office, scan the labels, and drop them off. I was in a hurry that day, had to do with Katie and a hospital visit, I am sorry to say. So I was not feeling in the mood to get out of the car. So we drove up to the post office, and instead of going inside, scanning the labels, and putting it in the giant basket, I instead took the package and put it in one of those blue bins on the outside, which I typically don't recommend you do because you want to make sure the stuff is scanned, and situations like this will show why you want it to be scanned. Well, it showed no movement for a couple days. And the guy emailed and said, hey, it's been 5 days since I bought this thing. When are you going to ship it? And the answer was, well, I did ship it. I put it in the blue bin. It's like, well, I called USPS. They said it has not been delivered. Well, I did drop it off. Now, of course, that was a little concerning because, again, the first couple days, that wasn't going to actually move. But one of the problems with putting these packages in the blue bins is they don't always scan the packages. They sometimes just put them in the truck, and it might move somewhere else before it actually gets around to being scanned. The post office denies that this happens, but I've seen it happen many times where I drop it off in LA County, and it doesn't get scanned until it's in North Carolina or Texas or something like that. This is something that happens. So the guy's like, I want you to expedite a new copy right away. Well, here's the thing. I have at least a week before the thing is scheduled to be delivered. So I say, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, look, if there's still a problem by this day, we can talk about a replacement then. But until then, we need to give it some time to get scanned. I did drop it off. I know you don't believe me, but I did, and it will probably be scanned very, very soon. So yesterday, after that, he filed a complaint with Mercari, and he said that he wants to cancel the order because I have not shipped the item. Now, I get this message like an hour and a half later. So, and this is, by the way, not a good thing to get, but what normally happens is you can say, I did ship the item, here's the tracking number, and then Mercari will give you an additional few days for it to be delivered, or at least show that the item is moving. That is what they will do. Now, I went and I got the tracking number, and here's the interesting thing. When I checked the tracking number, sure enough, about 20 minutes after this guy said that he wanted to cancel the item, it showed that in his state, the item had been scanned. And by the way, he's on the East Coast. So this package went from California to somewhere in Rhode Island and finally got scanned. Again, this happens. I know people who buy things don't want to think this happens, but it does happen. So I click item is shipped, and I give the tracking number again and the carrier, and now that there has been movement shown, Mercari can see it is moving and it will be delivered very, very soon. Then we get to today, this morning. And I don't know, this is where things just got really crazy. So the guy requests the cancellation again. And of course, I have till the end of the day to respond. And I'm like, I'm going to wait until the evening because he's probably going to get it today. And then when I say no, again, this time the tracking number will say it's been delivered. Therefore, it will be a closed case. Now, here's what's odd. The guy canceled the cancellation request. I checked, and there is probably a good reason why he canceled the cancellation request. He canceled because the item was delivered. So that should have been good. That should have been fine. Heck, he probably would have left me like a somewhat negative feedback because, he felt he didn't get it fast enough, but he will have gotten it. And I should get paid because you don't get paid until the tracking shows that the item's been delivered. I agree with that, by the way, because that helps prevent fraud. But here's the thing. I didn't get paid. In fact, Mercari canceled the transaction after the guy withdrew his cancellation request, which means he now gets the item and he gets his money back. Now, do I think this was planned and this was done in a nefarious way? I'm going to give the guy the benefit of the doubt and say the guy wasn't trying to deliberately screw me. It was probably a kid, did not take into account that he bought it and there would be at least 2 days before the thing would even move. Saw a couple days after that it was moving, freaked out, contacted me, didn't believe me when I said it was dropped off, filed the cancellation request, filed it again because he thought I was trying to screw him, but then when he got it, he withdrew it. So I'm going to assume that's what happened on his end. What's confusing me, though, is why did Mercari still cancel the item? Like, why am I out the money and the item when we have a tracking number that shows that it was delivered? Like, is this what Mercari means when they say you have no protection? Like, hey, your tracking, the one that you use, can show that it's been delivered, but if that person complains that they didn't get it, at all, you're losing that money. Like, unless you do the shipping through us, and by the way, they use the same shipping services I use. They use USPS, they use FedEx, they use UPS. I use those things. I get the postage through stamps.com. Like, why do they give themselves more of a pat on the back when they do it, when my tracking information is just as valid as theirs? I don't know. But it's strange, and I was very, very upset this morning at this whole situation. And it's not just because of the money. Granted, it is not fun to lose out on $30, $20 of which was profit. Pure profit. $20 was profit. That is really annoying in and of itself. But the fact that all the information kind of supported my claim that the item was shipped and that it was going to be delivered on time, and the fact that the buyer even retracted the cancellation request because he got the package, but Mercari did it anyway. Now, somebody just mentioned in the comments that, thank you for the advice, the P.O. box. You can put it in the blue box, and it's still a long wait. So, I mean, I normally tell people not to do this. You want to scan it yourself. You want to make sure that it's been scanned. And the thing is, sometimes that still causes problems because if USPS is being lazy and they're either taking a long time to get the thing moving or it goes through a couple buildings and they don't scan it. And this happens. Sometimes if it's not the easiest thing to scan, they have to like punch it in manually. It's like that. Throw it along. Like just move along. The only person who really needs to stop and punch in the numbers manually that are going to do it is the guy who's delivering the package, because, and my hair's sticking out for some reason, I don't know why, because that's the confirmation that the package got delivered. That's covering their butt. If they show that they never delivered it, then they hold some liability there. But again, this is just, I'm wondering what Mercari's thinking on this one. I mean, if I ship things through Mercari and I use my own postage, even though it's the same service as they use, can Mercari just decide to cancel that order and not pay me if someone complains, even if after a day or two the problem is resolved and there's no reason to do anything? Like, why was a second cancellation request allowed less than 24 hours after the first one? I mean, shouldn't the seller get a few days to see if they actually deliver the item? I mean, here's the thing. I'm not getting paid until it's delivered. If I say, hey, the thing has been shipped and 3 days later there is still no evidence that it's actually been shipped, then yes, I understand cancel the order, give the guy his money back, and if the thing happens to show up after that time period, oh well, that's just very, very unfortunate. But for the way for this to play out, where within 24 hours there was 2 item cancellation requests, the tracking number showed that it was on the way and that it did get delivered, and the guy retracted it. For Mercari to still cancel it and take what should have been my money and give it back to him, and he also gets to keep the item, that, again, the amount of money is really irrelevant. It was $30, but that does not leave me to a lot of confidence going forward. Like, that's the kind of thing that can make me look at Mercari and start pulling items, like particularly expensive items. That Space Jam vinyl, that limited edition, only 6,000 copies in the world, Space Jam vinyl, that I got it for $125. Maybe I don't want that on Mercari. What if this happens again? What if I use my own shipping? What if they sign for that one? Because I would get signature confirmation with that, and it doesn't matter. Mercari is still going to give the people their money back. That could be a very, very big problem, and I do not want that to be a thing. So I have been enjoying Mercari, and I have been making good money, but this has definitely made me a little uneasy, and we're going to have to see what happens during the Christmas holiday season, because if this starts becoming a regular habit, I have to pull my items from Mercari. I have no choice at that point. I am not running a charity. If I wanted to give things away, I would take it to Book Off or The Cave or something where I would at least get a couple bucks back. Or I would donate it to the thrift store or the Salvation Army, where they can sell it, get whatever it is they can get for it, and then give that money to people who needs it. But I don't think random kids... And by the way, when people get this agitated about shipping, and by the way, you can always tell when it's a kid if they seem to be just watching the tracking like a hawk, even if it's a very inexpensive item, all things considered, you know that's a kid at that point. They probably don't have a lot of money. This is their one purchase for the month, and they don't have anything else going on, so they are going to watch that tracking number because they want to make sure that they get it as soon as possible. But if this happens too many times, like let's say if it happens 3 times before the end of the year, I might have some serious reconsiderations about selling on Mercari, and I'm going to pass this video along to whoever is there at Mercari. Maybe they'll watch it, maybe they won't. I don't know. It's a shame because I certainly don't want to go back to Let It Go, which is a far, far worse service. But I might be willing to give them a second chance if this is what's happening. So anyway, that's my story for today. What do you think? What do you think about this? Has this happened to you? That's the other reason I'm making this. I want to see if this has been happening to anyone else on Mercari, and whether or not this is something I should be concerned about as being an inevitability. I'd love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. Let's end this sucker.